and welcome back to the Emperor BTC channel. Today's video is going to be a quick BTC market update video. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Before we go any further, I just want to bring to your attention that my comment sections on the YouTube channel do tend to be filled with a lot of bots who will shill absolute nonsense, and just for your own protection and safety, and I'd hate for anyone who's coming to watch my videos from an educational standpoint and potentially getting scammed. So you can see here on the chart there's a lot of this tokens here that are being regurgitated that no one's heard of, and it's very, I guess, AI-ish. So it's just something to look out for. When I do see them, I try and report and delete, and of course you can do the same, but just make sure you don't fall for any scam like this in my comment section. Now that that's said, we can get on with the market update video. So we had a couple of ideas in the previous market update video, and I do still think at this stage we have deviation of our range high here, and we will inevitably move to deviation in this region, although this 85k region, which is this last set of down close candles, and then there is also the 618 in and around this region from say this low to, of course, this high. This range price action, we've kind of got into a discounted price, which is below the 0.5. We dropped down through this key SNR zone, and on the daily we got into it here initially. We came back down, and we'll look on the lower time frame quickly in a minute, but we came down, we got a little bit of support in this region. Again, still you have your overall trend on the higher time frame, so you can see that there's directional bias when you're putting in a higher low, or sorry, lower high, and then putting in a lower low, and then on the lower time frames you might get bullish structure that looks something like this. So it looks like, oh well, maybe this is of course when the likes of CT start to get bullish, because they start to see these lower time frame higher highs and higher lows, and they're kind of this slow grind up, and then of course you get into a area of resistance, which then allows the continuation of the higher time frame direction. So this is what we'll look at now in a minute, but you can see we did get up above the key SNR zone for a moment, but then if you look at the daily, we actually closed inside of it still, and then you could probably extend or even move this key SNR zone a little bit higher. There is an element of discretion, so you could say, well, it's still resistance in there because of course there's still a lot of these lows tagging, and then we got this sharp move away on yesterday's open. So if we drop down to the 4-hour time frame, you can kind of see what I was referencing from this perspective, where you kind of have the bullish shift on the lower time frame, which allows essentially retracement, similar to what happened here, and we covered that in the previous video, where you kind of get a slow grind up and then elevator down. So stairs up, elevator down is the same. So we were looking when we got in this region, because there was a 618 in here, and of course you had the additional confluence of this potential supply zone. We were looking to see, did we get a shift below this low, and then there would have been the short in this region, where you then come back up, get the bearish underside retest, you enter your short here, stops above the high, and then target this range low as TP1, and so on and so forth down to the 74k level. Instead, we did continue our retracement, where we found support. You can see on the lower time frames that it was putting in them higher highs and then lower lows, and finding support at the previous higher highs. We got this nice move up, and then we just tagged this range high and just fell short of the yearly open, which is this purple line, and then we'll drop down to the 1-hour time frame and take a look at this price range. So if we drop down to the 1 hour time frame, it's really nice because you're able to see a lot of the fractal patterns that you might see on the higher time frame, and they appear whether it's on the 1 minute time frame or on the weekly time frame. Of course, higher time frame is more significance, but from a trader's perspective, it can all be very relevant. So you did get these higher highs, lower lows, so on, so forth. And then we got this nice push up. So this becomes your range low. And then we had this range high for, and then we had this range low here. And then if we take our fib, you can see that we had range high, range low. We came up, swept above this high, got just shy of this range high over here, so that acted as a resistance level. We then got this sharp move away, taking out the low. We then kind of had this low volume chop. We came up, and then of course this is the infamous 3-tap setup where you have range high, deviation, shift in momentum, and then you get the bearish underside retest of this previous range high, and then of course we nuked down through quite aggressively. So now that we've covered all that, what do I think is the most likely outcome next? So although I do think this 85k region is a potential level for BTC finding a potential higher time frame floor, or even just a consolidation where we maybe bounce between this region and this region for a little while. One of the things when we go back to this setup where you have this lower time frame grind up and then your stairs down is that when you get the shift, it tends to mean that the retracement is over. So you can see here when we had, say, this setup, we never really got the shift in momentum away, letting us know that sellers have taken back control of the price. Instead, you kind of got these, you kind of got a wick down, but never really taken out any of the significant lows, and then continue up and then fail to get below the low. So again, some regurgitation. But when we did get into this premium, and then of course you have the key SNR zone and then this consolidation, this would then of course be some sort of potential top. You then get this significant sharp shift away. If we do, for whatever reason, get back, say we find our support here, we're able to get back up, we can anticipate that this region here will act as a potential resistance level. You also have a potential 618 retracement level. So instead of getting all the way up here, which given it's such a wide range, it might be a bad idea if price gets up here because it's filled in all of this imbalance where you have just this one-sided market where it probably went way through the books quite quickly. If we were to get back up here with some strength, well then potentially this wouldn't hold. But if we were to get a similar slow grind back up, given that we've had this shift, so now we've had higher high, higher low, higher high, and then let's just say this is the lower low or just a low, given it only just swept and never closed below. Then you have this lower high, then you get the shift here through it. Now we've put in the lower low here, and of course you can maybe argue this, but just given us such a wide range, you could say that this is now our lower high, this is our lower low, and then we could potentially get a bearish rejection in around the key SR zone or in around that 618 level. So although maybe, as I've said, this 85k region is potentially a solid level for stability, I do think that as from a trade perspective, I still wouldn't be looking for longs. And I do think if you're to get in this region, it would be quite a nice level to short, and then you could potentially say put your stop above this high with your target down here, and that would be a quite a nice risk reward of probably about 2.5. We'll double check. Yeah, about 2.3 risk reward on some sort of short in this region with a conservative stop above this high. Now, that's not me giving you a signal to go ahead and do a full portfolio short in this area if we were to get into it. Absolutely not. There's also the possibility that this area here acts as resistance. So similar to KSNR, you have previous support or previous, I guess, auction market theory, if we were to look at it from that perspective, where you have consolidation, break up, market seeks fair value, we get back up into this auction market theory consolidation area. Just from the thesis perspective, we get some sort of fair value market, then sellers take back over, and we drop down into a region like this. So I do think this 80k low at some stage will get taken out as we've moved from this range low to range high and then maybe back to the lows. So that's all for today's BTC market update video. I'm sorry, I know I haven't done an altcoin market update video in a little while, but there's been no real purpose to do so, just given how awful they are. And I don't want to give them too much attention because I don't want to encourage anyone to be actively looking to buy any altcoin. But this week I will do ETH and Sol later on in the week, maybe Thursday or Friday. So if you do have any other suggestions, I might do one more token on top of them too. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, comment below what your thoughts on the market are, and I'll see you guys in the next one.